Hey, this is Zach over at NV Woodworks. Today I wanted to share kind of a quick tip and just talk about mold release agents. In the past I've talked about using these cutting board material molds and how you don't really need any release agent if you're using this. Alumilite won't stick to it. All I do is unscrew it, give it a good whack, and then the casting will come out with no problem. Now that's great, but sometimes you don't have cutting board material. I've found that melamine is a pretty good product to use for making these molds. I kind of like how it's a little bit thicker than these cutting board pieces. This is about 1/2 inch or something like that. You got 3/4 inch melamine. Problem is, alumilite doesn't stick to melamine, but this fiber core stuff, it sticks to it really aggressively. So I started using this mold release agent, especially for the bottom part. So this is another mold. This actually has the cutting board walls. The walls of this thing are made out of that cutting board material, but the base is melamine. And I like that because you got a thicker base to screw everything into. One thing I've found is if you don't drill in the center, you can bulge out the sides of this thinner stuff. So I just kind of had some issues with that, but I like the melamine, but I don't like the fact that it sticks to the edges. So what I did was, before I put this together, sprayed the heck out of the edges of this melamine board in the bottom, and then every time I use it, and I found the first time that I did this, I sprayed all the corners, all the surfaces, and what I've found is you don't even have to unscrew the mold and take it apart. You can literally just kind of shake it and your casting will come right out. So I think for longevity of your molds, depending on what kind of thing you're using, and in some cases it's kind of a necessity to spray mold release agent to make sure that your castings come out, don't stick to whatever your mold's made out of. Now for the silicone molds, like the little kind of pink ones and stuff like that, you really don't need release agent in this stuff. It doesn't stick to it. More for situations where if it gets stuck in the corners of this melamine and it starts grabbing onto that, it's gonna basically require you to take the entire thing apart, number one. And in many cases I've gone through a lot of these things with the melamine because it just sticks to it and I demolish it trying to get it off. So this mold release stuff works great. I would recommend it. Alumilite sells one on their website called Stoner, and it's supposedly for urethane. It's called urethane mold release. Now I've never tried this using this with polyester resin or epoxy. I have a feeling it would probably work, but I wouldn't recommend it. I know that those manufacturers for polyester resin and epoxy have their own mold release agents. So if that's the kind of resin you use the appropriate release. If you're using alumilite, I would recommend just going with the Stoner. It works fine. I think for the longevity of your molds, not having to unscrew them and screw them back together, I think it's probably worth the investment buying this stuff. Now when you're using it, I have a feeling this stuff is a silicone type. It's at least a silicone base spray. If you're doing any kind of finishing in your shop, I would recommend going outside and spraying your molds, or do it in a part of the area, an area in the shop that's not, close to anything where finishing or that kind of stuff's going on. If you get this stuff on your hands and then start touching a project, you probably will get finish failure because it's a silicone. It's one of those types of things that'll not let your finish cure properly. So keep it away from that, and you probably might want to wear some kind of an breathing protection stuff, a mask, because this stuff goes all over the place. I'll just kind of give you an example. But it's kind of like when you're spraying like the Pam cooking spray. I mean, I got a whole cloud of this stuff all over the place. I don't think that it's probably that good to breathe, and you don't want it all over your shop. So just kind of watch that, but it works great as a mold release. So anyway, I hope that kind of helps. I've had a few questions about mold release agents and mold materials, and so I just thought I'd throw this in there and share an update, because I pretty much spray all my molds now. I even spray these ones if I'm using them, just because I don't have to mess around with taking the thing apart anymore. It just comes right out for the most part. So hope that kind of helps. If you have any questions or any suggestions, comments, leave them below. If you need to get a hold of me, zach@nvwoodworks.com is my email address. And hopefully this might be the first video of 2015. So Happy New Year to everybody, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.